Greetings, friends and family, and welcome to the Spectre of Truth Show. And I am
Black.
Hey, what's going on, brothers?
Hope you're ready for the next episode. Hey.
Yeah, man. So, it's been a while, I know, but never just sitting around. Just keep that in mind. Like, I fade out, I'm over here, like, in the lab, you know what I'm saying? Cooking something up over here in the lab to bring back over here later on. Something else for you. But take time to put it together, and I can bring you something else. And I know a lot of people, they get on here, they post 2 or 3 videos a day, and you can't get anything else. If you do that, then this is all you can do. But I've got like a pot. I got pots cooking over here. You know what I'm saying? Putting something together. And so you all are going to be seeing all of this coming up, because I made a lot of progress with stuff. So yeah, that's what this is to kind of start revealing some of this to you. All right. So yeah, now this one here is going to be a little different than the previous videos. So what you're about to watch with this one is the first episode of my Black Ops mini-series. You know what I'm saying? So like, a lot of people see the name Black Ops today, and they would see it in games and movies and all of that. But people really don't know what it means, what that term means. You know what I'm saying? See, it's not just a game. That came from, obviously, in the military. All right? It's a term that, not just the military. It's a government term. All right? And it's a term that is used to describe secret operations that the government denies are actually in existence. So anything that they're doing that they say doesn't exist, that's a black op. Okay, that's what that is. So they'll dump billions, even trillions of dollars into a black ops project, but then they'll tell you that people screwed up the budget by purchasing a $2,000 hammer or a $25,000 toilet. All right, and it'll be a whole list adding up to billions per year. But all of that money actually goes towards building something like the F-22 or the F-35, jets, fighter jets, super advanced fighter jets, you know what I'm saying? So these planes were top secret in the 70s, 80s, and 90s. So that's how they got the financing to build and test them without people knowing that they even existed. All right, so that's how they took all that financing and they put it into these jets, but you end up talking about a $5,000 hammer. You know what I'm saying? Something like that. So that's how you do it, and nobody knows. They know something going on, but they don't know what. So that's Black Ops. Okay, so we have our own Black Ops here over at Black Fusion Studios. Okay, so I don't really talk about a whole lot yet. I can't go all into it and everything. You got to just kind of do your thing and then put it out there. So a lot of people talk and then they don't have nothing to show you. So I try to keep quiet and then come back and show you something. See what I'm saying? And so I try to, flip it, try to do it the reverse, and then this way I could be productive. When you start doing too much talking, people are like, well, when is this coming? When is that coming? What's the timeline for this? What's the timeline for that? And you don't really know, because it takes a while, to put it together. So anyway, today I'm going to show you phase 1 of a secret project that I like to call Project Eden Skills. All right, Project Eden Skills. Can't even tell you what it means, man. Just Project Eden Skills. Let me just leave it there. All right. So in order to kick the thing off, the first thing I had to do, all right, and y'all write this down, man. I'm telling you, this is the process. All right. So you got to make a space in which that you want to do your work. First thing you got to do is clear out a space. You want to get something done, first thing is clear out the space that you're going to do it in. All right? So I want all you brothers to take note of these steps. All right? Because what happens is, see, nobody tells you this stuff. They tell you to be productive, but they don't tell you this stuff. They don't tell you the steps. And the reason being for that is we used to get that information from our dads. But the young brothers don't have a dad anymore. So all of that information left with the men when the women ran the man out of the home. Once he left out the home, all of that information, the structure, the order, the coordination, the productivity, all of that left with him. And that was the plan. That's why they wanted to get him out. See? You go to an ant colony and you get rid of all the worker ants, the warrior ants, the builder ants. There's nobody left down there but the queens and drones, and they're just open to anything that wants to climb down there and take out the whole colony. And that's what's going on with the black community. Okay? So all the producers, the builders, the protectors, the warriors, the cornerstones, you know what I'm saying? The spiritual authority in the home has been taken out. And all productivity in the black community has stopped. A lot of people like to sit around and talk about what they're doing. When we working on this, we working on that, we putting this together, putting that together. But from our standpoint at the grassroots, we don't see any changes. We don't see it. We just hear a lot of people talking into how much they've done. We don't see no changes. And that's what I want to do with this is to be able to bring you stuff, and you can see the changes. You can see the website. You can see, you know what I'm saying, the products coming out, the audio book coming out. You know what I'm saying? Games and movies coming out for you. You know what I'm saying? That's the difference, because we don't really see anything coming from people that are doing a lot of talking and stuff on the media. You know, we don't see anything change. It's just talk. And it's been talking for 50 years. So this was the difference with this. So Dad was the one that drove, you know, the productivity in the home. All right, fixing everything, building everything. You know, I used to see my dad out there. Hell, he built the whole front porch on the house. You know, built the back porch on the house. You know, when we get out there wanting to play and stuff, he built us a sandbox. You see what I'm saying? So that was the difference. You know, the garage door or something like that getting messed up, he go out and fix the garage door. See? So we don't see that anymore now. That's gone. You get the father out the house, you lose all of that. All right, so nobody tells you now the steps to being productive. So that's what this is. So the first step is clear out your space, build you a space, put you a space together that you can do your work in. Like a little workshop, a little studio, something that's just yours. All right. So yeah, like a lot of people might not like me talking about how once the father left, you know, then all of that productivity left, because it's not giving credit to the women. You know, you're not, patronize, you're not putting them up on pedestals and all of this. But look, you can go back and watch my other mini series, Queen versus Gods, and you get the whole information about that, and you decide for yourself, am I making it up or is this just what happened? All right. So is that information, if they have a problem with that information is coming straight from the women who participated in it, some of them. All right, so they don't have to argue with me about it. They can go and holler at the elders, because that's who it was. All right, that was the previous generation that was setting all of that stuff up, and then you living in the results of that today. So yeah, don't even get me started, man. This will be a 4-hour video. I'll start going into that stuff. But now, what I'm doing on my platform is I'm trying to give the brothers some of what my dad gave me. All right, so he didn't teach me like these skills specifically that I'm gonna be talking to you about, but he didn't have to, because I used to watch him, like I said, going out there working on cars and fixing the TV in the basement. I didn't even know the TV opened up like that. He go down there, hit some switches and buttons and take the whole TV apart, and sliding out panels and stuff. And I'm like, I didn't even know the TV came apart like that, but he knew how to fix this stuff. He knew how to do that. And he was fixing his computer. He had computers and stuff before anybody knew anything about computers, and he'd be down there fixing them. going to the utility room, and he had a workbench down there with a pegboard and tools hanging on the pegboard, a vice grip that you could turn, and the vice grip would clamp up on stuff. And he had all of this stuff, man. So I just was watching, and I would see him doing this. I see him out there with the car jacked up, and he's changing brakes and tires and hoses, and he could do all of that. It was just like, wow. So just seeing that got me into that mindset of, wanting to be able to build things and fix things and, handle tools and power tools and all of that. Okay. So I saw my dad doing it. So we learn through examples. You can sit children in the classroom. You can take 100 children, put them in the classroom, and you can talk to them all day. And when they come out of there, they don't remember hardly anything that you said. Teacher was talking about this, talking about that. Yeah, oh yeah, it was all right. How was school today? Oh, it was all right. What'd you learn? Nothing. See? But when they see you every day, when they see dad every day out there cutting the grass, trimming the hedges, fixing the car, fixing the garage, building some kind of room or something on the back or the side. When they see him out there and he's got his tools and stuff, and then my dad would give me like a hammer and nail and a piece of wood, and he set it up for me, and he showed me how to hammer the nail down into the wood, and he gave me the hammer, told me, be careful, don't smash your fingers. And he went back to what he was doing, and I'm out there trying to hammer the nails down, and he gave me like about 10 nails and let me hammer them down in there. And that's how you learn. I never forget that. And so all of that manifested, that went into me like from an internal, you internalize that, and you carry that with you. Dad gone, but you carry that with you, right? You still remember what he showed you, what he taught you. And so it'll be years later, and I start going into Home Depot, Lowe's, walking around, and seeing stuff that I had never seen before. Drill press, table saw. What's that? Power drill. What is it? Oh, and then you got the bits for the power drill. Oh, that's cool. So you could just screw the. Oh, wait, yeah. So you don't need a screwdriver. You got the drill. Put the bits in. So I started looking at this stuff, and I'm looking at the prices, and the table saw was $150. I could get that. I don't even know what to do with a table saw, but that'd be kind of cool to have one, just to have some tools and start. So I started collecting the tools and stuff, you see. But that was from my internal knowledge and exposure to woodworking and tools and hammers and nails, and what I'm saying? Having seen that as a child, then as an adult, I was drawn to it. See? So that's why you got to be careful what you expose your child to, because as an adult, that's what they're going to gravitate towards. And then people wonder why children are getting into all of this crazy stuff as adults, because they saw it as a child. And then they'll tell you, I was always into a certain thing or a certain way since childhood. But then if you go back to their childhood and see what they was exposed to, then you'll see why. Go back and see what happened to them as a child. See what they was looking at, what they experienced as a child, and that'll tell you why they got into what they got into as an adult. See what I'm saying? All right, so for me, that's what I saw. I saw a hard-working mother and father, and with skills, with knowledge, and the ability to take care of their family and to take care of their home. And I saw them, I saw dad working on things, fixing things, building things. I remember one time, this is crazy, and I still don't know how he did it, but I remember one time I had this little helicopter. It was like a little helicopter. It just flew around in circles, and it was just like attached to this little pod that's set out there, and it had like a little arm that branched out, and like a little cord that held it up, and it just went around around that pod on that cord. And I used a little controller and stuff, and I love that thing, man. I used to, make the helicopter take off and land and take off and land, and then you could make it go forward, and it would lean forward, it would go around and around on this little thing. And I messed with that for hours. I don't know how many batteries, it was all battery operated. I don't know how many batteries I burnt out playing with that. Well, my dad got tired of buying me batteries for it. So he had an adapter, the adapter that you plug into the wall and it's got the little cord out. And he cut the end of the cord off the adapter, split the wires, stripped the cables, took the little, wires that was actually inside of the cord. And he had soldering iron, and he opened up the case and he wired those wires into where the batteries made contacts on those metal prongs. I don't know how he did it, or I know he was into electronics, but he knew how to do it. He knew how to wire this thing in such a way that the cord connected to where the batteries was connected to. And then he put the bottom back on it, plugged it in, and now I can sit and play with this thing all day long without needing any more batteries. That was what I grew up seeing, and that just amazed me, and I never forgot about it. And I think I might have only been maybe 7 or 8 years old, and I never forgot that. And to this day, I don't know how to do it. I can solder. That's how I know he did the soldering, but I don't know did he split the cords and just put the wires onto the positive connectors, and then just not use a ground for I don't know. I had never been able to figure that out, and I've never seen anybody do it since. I know you got to be careful with stuff like that. You can start a fire, but he knew what he was doing, because, like I said, he was in the electronics. So and it never caught fire, never burnt up. There was nothing smoking and none of that. It worked perfect, and I wore that thing out. So that's how you start to develop your skills. You can just go get a book, or you can go take a class and you can start getting them that way. That's one way. But the way it has always really been done is it will start at home. And around 5 or 6 years old, the father will start spending more time with the child. The mother has him as a baby, and the mother nurtures him up, for the first 4 or 5 years. And then by the time he's 5 or 6, the father starts spending more time with him. Father starts taking them around with him. They start going out and spending time together, doing things together. When dad's out there working on stuff in the garage, he has his little son out there with him,
That looks good.
Looking sharp.
You want to click track there?
Yeah, come on. I'm a big boy. I don't need to click track.
Okay.
So after I do the fill, you come in. Got it?
Huh?
After I do the fill, you come in. Got it?
Okay.
Play me a little something. Get your guitar, man. Show me a little something.
Okay.
This is for you, Mr. Steve Harvey.
Cool.
It's a song I made. It's called the Asmar 5.
You wrote this.
Yes.
This for me?
Yes.
Come on, boy. You a bad boy. You a bad boy.
Fantastic.
And the daughter might come out too, but you know, daughters, they didn't really take an interest in, wanting to be out there in that big dusty garage and getting dirty and stuff. And they usually didn't want to do that. But they would be back in the house with mom, and mom would have the daughter with her, helping to make lunch, helping to make dinner, and she showed the little girl how to make biscuits, and the little girl be in there making the biscuits and stuff in the dough, and she'd be so proud to be able to go in there and help mama make the biscuits and stuff. Mama showed her how to wash the dishes, how to make biscuits, how to make a cake, how to make cookies, pies, and so as a result of that, when you went back into those years, the further back you go, the more it was like what I'm talking about. And the little girls back then grew up to be 5-star chefs. The women and the grandmother, you thought your mama could cook in the 70s until you tasted your grandmama's cooking. And grandma's cooking wasn't necessarily better than mom's, but it was different because everybody had their own recipe to make the same things. So you started having a variety of ways that they made sweet potato pie. Everybody's didn't taste the same. It's not to say that anybody's was better. You had your preference, but all of it was really good, and it was just different. Or who had their preference? How they made chocolate chip cookies from scratch. They knew how to do all of that, and it was perfect. And so it was just a different time. But that was how they started learning as children. That's how you got your skills. So we talking about skills. That's why I said Eden skills, Project Eden skills. That's what it is. So I'm showing you skills. Eden was what? Eden was the beginning. I'm showing you Eden skills. I'm showing you the beginning of skills. Okay? So it's different today. So a young boy grows up, what does he see today? Or a little girl, what does she see today? Probably just mama laid up on the sofa smoking weed with a parade of men coming in and out the back door. Literally and figuratively. Right? This is what they see. All right? And then everybody want to ask, how come these boys ain't into nothing today? How come they ain't doing, these boys ain't doing nothing today? These little girls ain't doing nothing today. Well, what did they see growing up? See what I'm saying? Don't, look, yeah, like I said, we gonna keep it moving, man, because it'll turn into a whole nother thing, man. It'll be another Queens versus Guys Part 5, man. We don't want to, So anyway, this is how men got down back in the day. Skills, in order to have skills, you have to have a goal. The men back in the day were goal driven. All right. So you first have to have a man with an idea for what he wants to do, where he wants to be in the next 5 or 10 years. He has to have a plan, something he wants to accomplish within a certain time frame. Okay, that's the first step. Decide what you want. Okay, where you want to be, what you want to have, what kind of life you want to have. That's the first step. All right. So then you come up with what steps do you need to make to get to that goal. All right. So you have the ultimate goal out here, where you want to be. And then what you do is you come up with the steps. Those are called objectives. All right. So what are your objectives? So what's your first objective? What's the first thing you need to do to get down there? All right. And so the first thing you need to do, like I said, is build your workspace. You have to have a place from which to operate. If you watch all the movies and stuff, whatever, play game, all the villains have like a base of operations. You know what I'm saying? The secret base. So you got to have a secret base to do your stuff. See, that's the first step. All right. So maybe you want to have a new invention. Maybe you want to invent something. Maybe you want to design something. Maybe some designs for clothes. Maybe you want to design some new sneakers. Maybe you have an idea to design some sneakers that's better than Jordans. All right, but you need a place that you can go into to sit down and do that. Right? Maybe you just want to start learning how to draw. Maybe you want to learn how to paint. Maybe you want to start getting into using high-end computers. Hint, 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 hint.
economic philosophy of black nationalism only means that we will have to carry on a program of re-education to open our people's eyes, make us become more conscious, become more mature.
Was revealed that
okay, I can't go down. Yay!
Sometimes I get a good feeling, yeah. Get a feeling that I never had before. No, I get a good feeling, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Maybe you want to start getting the high-end computers. No matter what it is, the first thing that every man needs is his own workspace. So you pick some room in your house and you invest your time, your money, your energy into converting that room into something that pertains just to you and your work. See? Then you put a lock on your door and close it off if you can, if it's possible. Some people might have to use the living room. Maybe you got to use your living room. There ain't nothing in there but a table and the chairs that you never sit in, right? So maybe you want to clear all that out and then make that your work area. And then maybe put a partition up to separate it from the rest of the house. And so when you go in there, when you close that partition, everybody need to know, you know, hey, don't bother me. I'm in, you know what I'm saying? I'm in my work area. Don't bother me, you know? Close that off, go in there, and then that's your area. See? So you got to keep people out of there. All right? You can't really get into even telling people what you're doing in there, because it's very rare that people will see your work, support you in it, encourage you, much less help you. Okay? So if you take all that off the table then all they can really do for you, they're not helping you, they're not encouraging you, they're not supporting you. So what's left? All they can do after that is hinder you, right? And become a distraction for what you want to do. So no matter what you tell them, they in there looking at your stuff, talking about, what you got all this stuff in here for? What you gonna do with that, right? Y'all heard it. You trying to do something? Why you got all of this? How much money did you spend on this stuff? See? What you gonna do with it? You wasting time. You wasting money, right? Y'all heard it? Come on, man. You've been working on that for 2 years. You ain't gonna do nothing with that. You need to throw all this mess out. You could have used that money to fix up the house. I need a new car, right? Why you wasting time and money? You could have got me a car. See? So if you listen to them, they can worm their way into your head like little demons tunneling into your brain, and you can become totally discouraged from something that had you stuck with it. Could have had you making 6 figures or millions within a few years had you stayed with it. Some things take a lifetime. Some things don't take 4, 5, 6 years. Some things might take 20, 30 years. How long does it take? Let's say you want to invent a new type of car that doesn't exist. It's never existed. It's a whole new type of car. So if you have a whole new type of car, that means you have to have a whole new type of technology that goes into the car. So if it doesn't exist, how long does it take to build it? You don't know, because you don't have anything to base it on, because it doesn't exist. You see what I'm saying? So the people that's around you are going to be telling you, you wasting time, you wasting money, you've been on this 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. See? And, well, how much longer do you think it's going to be? You can't give an answer to that, because you're building something that doesn't exist. Nobody knows how long it's going to take. It takes as long as it takes. There's a game company out there called ID Software. They came out with really the first 3D shoot 'em up, where you running around with the gun, shooting everything up and blowing up demons and stuff. They came out with probably, I think the first one came from ID Software, and it was called Doom. Y'all remember Doom? So Doom 1, we going back to like the early 90s, the first Doom. And everybody flipped out over this game. It was just, it was crazy. They gave you the first 3 levels for free. By the time you got to the second levels, you was ordering the game. You wanted the full game, because it was that good. It was amazing. We never played anything like that before, ever. It just blew your mind. So after about a year or 2, everybody got hooked on it. It was amazing. So then people started saying, well, are you going to do a part 2? They were like, yeah, we're going to do a part 2. So after a couple months, everybody was like, well, okay, well, where's part 2? How long is it going to be for part 2? And ID Software was famous for the line of, we'll release it when it's done. Well, when is it going to be done? It'll be done when it's done. And they never put any dates and times on when it was going to be finished. And they just took their time with it, and they wanted it to be right. And they took their time. They did everything they wanted to do with the game. And then when they finally released it a couple years later, it was another smash hit, and it was smooth. It ran good, no problems, no glitches and bugs, and everybody loved it. Now, I don't know if it's because they didn't have a publisher, and so the publisher wasn't hitting them with hardcore deadlines that had to be met, so they didn't have to rush. Or maybe that was the case, or maybe if they were financing it all themselves out of pocket, running up credit cards and stuff. I've known people to start companies by doing that. So if that was the case, then they didn't have a timeline. They just put it out when it was finished. So you have to figure out what's good for you, what works, and what kind of time frame are you looking at. So that's what they did, right? So yeah, it takes as long as it takes, and so what really matters is that you stay the course, stay focused, do something towards it every day. You can walk 1,000 miles if you just do 1 step a day, right? it's going to take you forever. It might take longer than you have left to live. But if for as long as you're living, you'll keep making progress towards what you want to do. Do a little bit every day towards whatever it is that you want. And you don't know how long it's going to take to get there. Some days you may be able to get up a good run, and you may be able to do 20 or 30, 40, 50 miles in one day. You know, you may be able to get some distance going, you know, for that one day. But other days you might not be able to go at all. You might not be able to do anything. You know, maybe you're sick. Like I had got sick, maybe you get sick. So then that sets you back a couple months, you know. You might have to go to the hospital, that sets you back. You know, you might lose your job, that sets you back. So you can't, you know, do your thing. And this is why you have to be able to lock your area off and focus on your work without having to answer to the people around you who really are not into what it is that you're doing. They don't even know what you're doing and don't really want to hear about it. You start going into the details, they start nodding off, you know. Ain't nobody trying to hear all that, man. So just do your thing. And when you can get focused like that, you'll start seeing some progress. So yeah, everybody can lock up their room. You know, like I said, depending on how your house is laid out, you might not be able to lock this off or block that off. But for those that can do it, you know, you need to do it. And you need to have an understanding with other people in there. This is my area, don't come in here. Okay? So if you don't have it, work your way up to it till you do have it. All right? Now, myself personally, I had a spare room that I wasn't using, which was just full of junk. It just had boxes. Anytime I got a delivery come in, and it was just boxes and stuff. If it was a big box that I had to cut it up or whatever first to get it in the trash can, I didn't feel like doing all that. I just threw it in the room. I'll get around to it later. And so that room ended up just piled with boxes. And it had an old nightstand in there that I had since I was, you know, since my childhood. It was an old futon was in there that I had since the early 2000s, you know, and part of the futon had even collapsed and was just on the floor, and you know, so I'm trying to move it around, and the side of it was getting ready to come off, and the screws had come loose. It was covered in dust and boxes and junk sitting on top of it. So the whole room was just a mess. And you know, I actually had already been pulling some junk and boxes out of the room before I took this picture. And because I didn't think about taking pictures and documenting this journey for the channel until I had already been pulling some of the stuff out for it, you know. So here's the hallway full of some of the junk that I had started already pulling out of there. So this is jam packed with just boxes and stuff, man. And all of this coming out of just this one room, which was, it's not even a big room. It was only like maybe, I forget what it is, maybe 10 by 15. I think it's like 10 feet by 15 feet, something like that. So, you know, you had all this stuff jammed up in that one room. And so, you know, you had to turn sideways to squeeze in between all of the boxes and all the junk. Then you got to start stepping over stuff once you got in there. And there really wasn't any reason to go in there because it was, you know, nothing in there that I used. But so this was, I decided to take this, you know, my little room, my last, you know, free room, and turn this into another part of the studio. Okay. So you can see how this thing started from ground zero. And so if you want to set up your own workspace, you got to do the exact same thing. I don't care if you go down into this cluttered, dirty, dusty, spider-infested basement. If that's what you got, then you go down there, clean it out, get into it, you sweating and everything, you know what I'm saying? Spray all the bugs and stuff, set up one of those bug bombs. They got these bug bombs that you can set, and it fogs up the whole room and kills everything in the room. Just make sure it's non-flammable, because if you got the furnaces and the heaters down there, and you fog it up, and then it catches that fire, you don't want to blow your house up. But they have some that are non-flammable. So if you get the flammable ones, you got to put your pilots out. You got to put the fires out in your furnace and your water tank. But they have some that are non-flammable, and you can fog it up without having to turn anything off. And those are the ones that I use. I'm not turning nothing off, you know. So I just set those ones non-flammable, double check, triple check that. And you know, look on the back. they'll say, you don't have to turn your pilot off for this one. They'll say that on there, on the can. And you just press the trigger. Once it's pressed, it's going to stay pressed, and it just start spraying up. Set it down on the floor and leave the area. Leave it down there for about 4, 5, 6 hours. Make sure the furnace is off. Make sure everything is off. You don't want it sucking air out of there and blowing that stuff through the whole house. So you got to use your mind with this stuff, because once you start getting into productivity, using power tools, whatever, it's dangerous. You could lose an arm, a finger, something could cut your chest open, whatever. You setting off these bug sprays, that stuff is toxic. You're working with paints and paint thinners and stuff. All that stuff is toxic. You're not supposed to be breathing that in. You need face masks, you need protective gear, you need goggles. You see what I'm saying? So if you're going to once you get into productivity, also make sure you get into the safety aspects for whatever it is that you're doing. So I'm using power tools and all of this stuff, and you want to make sure that that you wear the right stuff. So that's something to keep in mind. Yeah. Get your headband, put it around there to catch the sweat. Oh, you get your head. I'm telling you, get your headband. It looks silly. People, oh man, what you got the headband on? You're doing something. People that's not doing nothing that don't sweat, they tell you look silly wearing a headband, wearing a sweatband. But people that's doing work and in the stuff, you be looking for sweatbands. Put that around your head, so when you're down there, you don't have the sweat coming to your eyes while you're working with a table saw. And now you can't see, and you got your hands around this blade. You see what I'm saying? So you got the sweat down there. There's also a table saw that let's say you sweat on the wood, and the wood is damp, or you just have some damp wood, some moist wood, when you put it in there, the saw detects the electrical current, because your body generates an electrical field. And so when you touch that wood, the moisture picks up that electrical current. If the table saw detects that there's an electrical current going through that wood, it thinks it might be going through a body part and will slam to a stop. And it'll mess up all the parts, the plastic parts that's down inside. It's like a safety pieces, and they'll break and snap. And then you have to order new ones to put it in there and get your saw back going again. So you got to be careful of that. So you don't want to be sweating all over the place while you're working. You don't want to short anything out. If you're working over electrical systems, you're sweating down into the wires or cabling. You know what I'm saying? So get your headband, get your goggles, get your protective gloves, whatever you need, and do it right. So the other thing to keep in mind is you can't just cut the boxes up and throw them out. When you get boxes, when you start ordering all of this, you start ordering your equipment, your gear, your saws and your power drills. When you start ordering this stuff, because you have all these boxes everywhere, okay? And you can't just throw the boxes out, because on the boxes, if you look at them, they got your name on there, they got your address on there. The box is showing everything that you just purchased, so people know what's all up in your house and everything. You know what I'm saying? What's in your studio. So you have to take the address labels off, cut them off, whatever, and you have to shred them. You have to get you a shredder, and you have to put anything with your personal information, your name, your address, your phone number, put that stuff down into the shredder and shred it. Don't just get those strip shredders, get the cross-cut shredders that, cross-cut it, and absolutely destroys all that information. So you got to be safe with all of this, okay? So yeah, people can look at that and they can see your address. They know who's in your house. They see the name right on there. See, a lot of people don't even think of this stuff. So you got to shred all your mail. Any mail you get done with your mail, shred it. It's got your credit card information on there, your name, your address. Some of the stuff has your social security number on it. Your phone number is associated with that. Everything that they need is on this paperwork. So make sure you're shredding all of your stuff and be safe. Okay, so this is just the world we live in now, man. You can't let nothing slip. Wherever you slip, that's where the attack is gonna come from. Whatever you don't feel like doing, you don't feel like being bothered with, wherever you get lazy is where your problems are gonna come from. All right, so yeah, all your stuff, if you don't do it, when you throw the stuff away, all your stuff is gonna be piled up out at the dump. with all your information just sitting there for somebody to pick up. People working at the dump, you just pick this stuff up. Hey, so here's a supercomputer, $10,000 supercomputer, you know, something like that, that went to this guy's name and address. See? Also, you have the danger of just your neighbors. You know, if you depend on what kind of community you live, it don't even matter nowadays. There's some strange folks out there. You can live in the hood, you can live up in high society. People will go through your trash and they'll pull information out of your trash and take your whole bag of trash back to their house and sort through it just to get information about you. See? So some people don't know that people are out here doing this, but it's happened. And so yeah, shred any personal information, and then that'll eliminate those problems for the most part. Okay. You know, and so another thing you got to be real careful of. This is a little off topic, but you get these credit card offers. You all see these credit card offers that come in the mail. I knew a guy years ago, this is decades back now, but he admitted that him and his friends used to steal those credit card offers, and that people would just take them and throw them away, or they would maybe tear them up a couple times and throw them away. You can piece those back together, and as you can see all the information. It's got the credit card offer on here, and all you have to do is fill out the form. So they would fill out the form, and they would have I'm not going to tell you the process that he explained, but they would get the credit card in that guy's name, and they would go out and make purchase. Now the guy don't even know the credit card exists. Somebody else signed it and filled it out and is running around with that, and they have a card now in his name with all his information, and they are making purchases off of that. And then by the time that they start looking for him to come and pay for all this stuff, nobody's paid the bill. He didn't even know that the credit card ever existed. He don't know nothing about it. And so yeah, this is how some of these people get down. So this is why you have to be careful with your stuff. This is why you have to start taking precautions, and you have to start being smart. You know, before, back in the older years, 80s, 90s, we could just whatever, it was no big thing. We just have fun. Today, people run the game. You got to be careful. All right. So this is why a lot of people don't know this. See, this is why white folk out in the country, they have bonfires. See, they're smart enough that they know to destroy anything with their personal information on it. So they had these big bonfires, and they turned it into a whole big party. People from all around the area come out and throw stuff into the fire. See? So they come out and throw stuff out there into the fire, and that's how they get rid of their stuff. And we don't pay it any attention, but they're doing things that we need to be catching up to. You can't do that in the city. So again, be careful what you do, because if something try to set up a bonfire in the city, somebody's gonna call on you, and now you're in trouble. So I'm not saying to do that. They're out in the country doing that, and that works for them. But we never knew why they were doing it. But that's a lot of what they're doing, is they're getting rid of all their personal, private stuff. So anyway, so once you cleared out some space, or emptied out a whole room, or you clean up the floor, then you mop it, you sweep it, you clean the walls, wipe everything down. See, you have to purify your area. Purification. You have to purify your area. You have to get all the dirt, the dust, and the grime, and the grease, and the handprints from yours and other people's hands and stuff, all that have gotten all over the place. All of that has to come up off the floor and off the walls. See, people leave their bad and negative energy behind everywhere that they go, and you don't want their energy in there. And then you want your energy in there. Their energy could come in there and affect the work that you're doing, because you're in there and you don't feel it, you don't know it, but that stuff can come into what you're doing, and you might sense it and pick it up from the standpoint of being distracted. You can't focus. You go in there, you don't feel good. You go in there, you don't want to do nothing. You see what I'm saying? So if you go in and you've purified it, when you walk in there, you'll feel good, and the sun is coming through the windows and stuff. And as soon as you walk in, you start wanting to do whatever it is that you went in there for. You want to do it, and you feel good about it, and you feel energized while you're in there. And that's how you know when you're on the right track. Okay, so the other thing, look, people go in there into these rooms and stuff, and they're coughing and they're sneezing and they're blowing stuff everywhere. All of that gets into the walls and into the floor, into the floors and carpets and stuff. It's all got to come up. All that has to be clean. See, a lot of people have animals living in the house, so there's animal urine and feces down in the carpet that you don't even know is down in there. To get your steam cleaner, start cleaning that. You might need to throw the whole carpet out, man. And just get you a fresh carpet in there. Keep the animals out of there. See, maybe you have a little cat or something, to follow you around. But they have a tendency to find little areas to urinate if they want to. And you might not even know that they did it. But, you got to be careful when you have animals in the house because they can defile your house. Again, this is a little off topic, but one of the steps if you want to get into Satanism is you have to defile the areas that you're in order to get into Satanism and stuff. So they use urine and feces and they smear it on themselves and they get it from, what I'm saying? So it's a whole, so if you want to purify something, you got to go in the opposite direction and you have to get all that stuff out of there. See? And then you do your work in there. Now your work is pure and clean in a room that's pure and clean, and then you have purity and cleanliness in you as well. That's how you do this. Okay? So this is how you pull in those divine godly energies into your work, and it makes you able to do things that other people look at and say, damn, how'd you do that? Wow, you did that? Wow, and they can't figure out how you did it because it's beyond you doing something that's beyond the norm. You know what I'm saying? You're doing pure, clean, genius level work in a pure, clean room that it has been sanctified through your sweat and blood and efforts and energy, and and you've gotten it to where it's now productive. And that's how you do things that go above and beyond. All right, so you bring all that positive divine energy into you and into your work. So now for me, I have been super sick all through 2022. So by the end of the year, I had decided to try to get myself back in shape. And so I had turned this particular room that I cleaned out into a calisthenics room. And I had the parallel bars in there, and this was the top of the line, man, thing. It was padded on the bars. They had, yoga mats on the floor that filled the whole room. The parallels at the top, they had cushions on the top, and they also had cushions on the bottom for doing push-ups and stuff. And then I had added some decorations to the wall. And I'd had some of this stuff for years, and it just never really hung it up. I didn't have really anywhere to put it. But now I finally had a reason, to put some of this stuff up and to do something with it. All right. So this is where we ended up going. One of them in particular was a handcrafted Black Panther cross stitch. And I knew the woman that did it, and she gave it to me as a gift. But I'm thinking of auctioning it off at some point here now, because it doesn't really go with what I'm doing at this point in time, on a metaphysical level. All right. So maybe it can boost the energy in the room for one of you. Black Panther has always been a powerful icon that literally changes the energy of whatever room that you put one into. So keep an eye open, because that auction and other auctions may be coming soon. This is a rather large piece here, and the detail in it is amazing. This was all hand done. I remember when she was doing it. Every little stitch, every piece was by hand, and so I might auction this. So I don't know. We'll see. But I'll keep you up on that. And I also purchased a door-mounted pull-up bar with an assist strap. So you put your foot in that bottom loop, and then the spring tension, it's got a real strong string tension that as you do your pull-up, it lifts up, you tighten up your leg, lock your leg, and so then as you pull up, then that spring pulls you up with it. And so you could probably take about 20 pounds maybe 15, 20 pounds extra weight off of there. Maybe not that much, but yeah, I'd say about 15, 20 pounds extra might come off when you're doing your chin-ups and lifts. And so I didn't think it would really help, because it was kind of weird at first, and you know, you lifting and your legs are kind of going out and you kind of swinging on it and stuff, you know. And you know, I had been sick, so I was weak, and you know, I couldn't even do one when I first got it. It wasn't helping nothing. But as I got stronger and healthier, I was able to start doing it. And then by the end, I was able to do about 2 sets of 10 is what I ended up being able to get up to. So it actually did help. So, you know, these are pretty good. You see these assist straps. They ain't paying me for no, you know, brand promotions. So you just do your research and find one that suits your finances and, you know, has the colors and stuff that you like, you know, read the reviews and everything. So you can see, so I had it set up, man. I got everything out of there. I built my exercise room, you know, my calisthenics room, had my little routines and stuff set up. I was getting into it, started getting stronger. I was going to try to, you know, really I had already quit the gym because I couldn't go to the gym anyway while I was sick, so I quit that. And I got everything going how I wanted, and it was going pretty good for a few months. And I was making just, you know, really good progress. But what was weird is I always felt like this ain't it. You're wasting this room with this. This is not what this room is supposed to be for. And I was like to myself, I'm like, well, what is this supposed to be yours for? You know, what am I supposed to be doing? I mean, it's all set up now, so, you know, what else am I supposed to be doing? And I, you know, talking to that little voice in there, you know what I'm saying? It's just kind of guiding you. And yeah, learn to listen to that. It's trying to lead you down to some things, down to success, prosperity, happiness. And whenever you don't listen to it is when you have problems. So learn to listen and learn to act on what it's telling you. So when I finally accepted that this was just not going to be an exercise room, I was hit with a spark of inspiration to do something that I never thought was possible. You know, I kind of had an interest in it, but I didn't know if I was going to be really going down that road or whatever. But unfortunately, in order to accomplish it, I would have to sacrifice my beautiful brand new calisthenics room, and I'd have to start over. So in the next video, we will see what I did in phase 2, which is actually when the Black Ops program really started. And man, it's so expansive that it's going to take all my extra time and money to, you know, to see this project through to the end. I've made a lot of progress on it already, but I'm just showing you the sequences. So this is how this room started. So this is why I was gone all this time. I've been locked away in the workshop, brother. You know what I'm saying? Like a mad scientist, bringing things to life that haven't existed until now. But I'm going to show you how I transformed this calisthenics room into something completely different, and some of the new gear that I had to get in order to bring this to life. So far, nobody has seen this but me. You know, it's Black Ops for real. You know what I'm saying? It's Black Ops over here, bro. So you'll see what I'm talking about. So make sure you click like and subscribe so that you don't miss part 2. All right, because we're getting ready to, man, you know, you'll see. It's exciting just even to work on it, to do it and see it coming to life. It's exciting, but you'll see what I'm saying next. We'll go a little bit further next time. All right, so I'll see you then. Peace.